we're going to take the time this week to spend at least a segment on each of the 6 divisions and start to get you ready for Major League Baseball here in early February. It's always best to get an early look at things so that you've got the landscape and the 50,000-foot view, Kate, from the very beginning of the season, so nothing jumps up and surprises you maybe in June, July, August, and beyond. And let's start with the division that was the source, at least, of the biggest move, the biggest departure anyway, in baseball this offseason, and that's the departure of Juan Soto from the Bronx. He goes over to the Mets, and the Yankees are still the favorites to win the World Series, from the American League, I should say. 8-1 to win the World Series, 3-1 to win the AL, plus 105 to win the division. Their win total lined at right around 92 or so. You can find it 91.5, 92.5. Can their offense, can their lineup survive the loss of Juan Soto, though, with additions like Goldschmidt and Bellinger?
I mean, if you're going to bring in anyone, like those are 2 pretty solid players right now in terms of providing some offense. But if you look at what Juan Soto is leaving behind, I mean, he had a WAR of like over 8. He and Judge, I mean, their WAR numbers were 8 and Judge like 11 or so. So you're having to replace all of those wins. I think Soto and Judge kind of covered up some discrepancies last year for this offense. And I'm a little worried about the Yankees. I mean, can you really worry about the Yankees every single year with what they continue to do most years? I mean, maybe not, but I think losing Soto is a big deal. And the health of the Yankees has always is in question every year. Adding some pitching certainly helped them, but at plus 105, I want more value if I'm going to be picking a winner at this point of the season.
Yeah, especially, and we'll get to the Orioles in a second, with Baltimore nipping at their heels. I don't think you can survive the loss of Soto's power. Like, you can bring in an aging Paul Goldschmidt, and he'll be, maybe slightly better than replacement level if he has a decent season. Yeah, you can bring in Cody Bellinger, and maybe he has another revelatory year at the end of his career. But Giancarlo Stanton isn't getting any healthier. Right? He's already dinged up. That lineup is not getting any deeper. Jazz Chisholm is nice to have towards the top of the lineup to go with Volpe. But look, Max Fried added to the rotation. Okay, that's a nice add. I like that. But I don't think they've done enough, Jake, for the Yankees to be looked at, like Kate said, as basically an even money favorite to win this division, again, with the Orioles nipping at their heels.
I mean, it's recency bias. It's the team that was just in the World Series. It's the Aaron Judge factor. I like what the Yankees did. I think they had a really strong offseason. They could have very easily sat there and said, oh, boo-hoo, woe is us, we lost Juan Soto. Now we're just going to keep all of that money that we were going to give to him, and we're just going to keep it for hashtag the shareholders. But they didn't, so credit to them. So they signed Max Fried. They needed pitching badly. They went and got the best closer in baseball with Devin Williams from Milwaukee. So I liked what they did. I think that short porch obviously is going to help Goldschmidt and Bellinger a ton, maybe make them a little bit better than they were in Wrigley or at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. So I think that's helpful. But plus 105, like, I have no interest. I have no interest in that. And Lango, it's the same reason, it's the same argument in the MVP market. I'm not trying to bet Shohei Ohtani at plus 115 and get paid on Thanksgiving. It might win, sure, but I don't want to pay that price and wait for the next 8 months for it to come through. Like, that's just silly. So I've said this all winter, and I said this especially after the Garrett Crochet deal. I still don't think the Orioles did enough. I think they're very much hoping that their prospects come through and their young guys take the next step. But I think the value, the hashtag value, is on the Red Sox still at better than 4-1. And I feel a little less good about that after the weekend of Tristan Cassis saying, oh, well, we want Devers at third. He's the guy, and blah, blah, blah. And we don't want 3 of the top 12 prospects in baseball on this roster. We're good. You won 81 games. You won 81 games last year, and you don't want to get you don't want the number one prospect in all of baseball, Roman Anthony, on the field. You don't want that. You want Wilyer Abreu. You want Ceddanne Rafael in center field. Really, that's what we want. Like, okay, buddy, sure. If that's whatever floats your boat. I think the Red Sox have a good team. I think that they really addressed their pitching issues, Crochet notwithstanding. I think they really built a good bullpen. Obviously, like Fat Devers and whatever's going on there, notwithstanding. Bregman was a really good signing, but now the vibes are bad. I was saying this with Cody Decker on Bet for the Cycle over the weekend. Like, baseball is one of those sports where you can bet vibes. It is one of those sports where you can bet vibes, and if the vibes are bad, I'm good. Like, we've seen teams fall apart in baseball because of bad vibes multiple times, like almost every year. So I still, talent-wise, they have a month to figure it out, just about a month and a couple of days. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe voice of reason comes through. Maybe somebody knocks some sense into somebody. I think they have the right manager. I think Alex Cora is the right manager to kind of weather that storm. But if they're all going to hate each other and they're going to be like, hey, no, we're good running back the same 81-win team, then I don't know. But on paper, at least, I think the value is with the Red Sox.
Oh, and you're going to pay the Red Sox tax too, Jake. I hope you're happy about that. It's $425. Their win total's juiced all the way up to 86.5. I'm sorry. It's not just vibes for me. It's not. It's vibes plus math. And you can't tell me that an aging Alex Bregman, stitched together with duct tape, bubble gum, and paper clips, Walker Buehler, and Garrett Crochet. And, we added Chapman at the back end of the bullpen. Yeah, let me tell you about Aroldis Chapman. There's a quick preview of how that worked out here in Pittsburgh the last couple of years. There's no way all of that together, plus you lose Tyler O'Neill, adds up to 6 or 7 wins better than last year when you were right. They're a 500 ball club. They look more and more like maybe a 83 or 84 win team at best. So we were going to go through this top down, and we very rapidly just skipped over the darlings of the AL East. The team, I feel like you're already around the curve, around the bend here, Jake, on the Orioles. You've given up. This lineup is absolutely stacked. All right. They add O'Neill, by the way. The rotation, okay, I'll grant you that. I'm not even going to comment on it. I'm just going to keep talking about the bats and hope they score 6.5 runs a game. But the Orioles, given the added experience, given the young bats at plus 260 to win the AL East, come on, somebody.
I'm good. I'm good on the Orioles. I not to say that they can't be a good team. I'm not saying they're going to win 70 games and miss the playoffs. Yeah, sure, they'll win 88 games and they'll be in the wild card, but I'm good on the Orioles in this current iteration of what they are counting way too hard on Gunnar Henderson being an MVP candidate again, on Adley Rutschman bouncing back, which granted, I think he will. I think he's way too good not to have a better year. But it's the rotation for me. Like, Zach Eflin can't be your number one. Just can't. And maybe he's not by midseason. It's probably going to be Grayson Rodriguez, but that guy's shoulder explodes every other week, so can't rely on him. Charlie Morton is 82 years old and his 30th year in the league. What are we talking about here? Dean Kramer, we know what he is. So I'm way good on this Orioles rotation. Yes, they have Walzilla in left field, and yes, it's a giant ballpark that is good for unders and good for pitchers like this. But unless they're going to follow through finally and trade for an ace like a Dylan Cease or somebody else of that nature, I'm just good on this team. If they can score 1 million runs, cool. How are you stopping another team from scoring 1,000,001 on you? Over the course of a season, I don't have faith. Can they be a good regular season team, win 88 to 90 games? Sure. But I think when push comes to shove, when they're facing down Garrett Cole or Garrett Crochet or one of the Rays' stable of amazing pitchers, the thing is, the Orioles and the Rays bravely answer the question of, what if we took 2 separate aspects of one good team, split them into 2, and then see what happens? If you combine these teams, you'd have a 100, why did I say 100 like that? 105 win team. But no, we're separating them for some reason. The Orioles can be a good team. I just am good on this until I see an actual array of games and what this looks like from these pitchers.
All right,
Jake,
let's bring. Yeah, go ahead, Kate. I need somebody to bring some logic back to this conversation where Jake and I have gotten way too emotional.
Yeah, this is still I mean, I'm not going off vibes here, Jake. Actually, maybe this is kind of more of a vibes thought, but this is still a team that 2 years removed from over 100 wins and an AL East title. Like, and I'm not sure the rotation that season was significantly better than it is this year, but with how down the bats were last year, I mean, you mentioned the poor finish to the season for Rutschman. Gunnar Henderson was a MVP candidate at last points of last year. And then Jackson Hawley, like, how disappointing was he? I get that there's concern over the pitching, but I mean, this offense is among the best. I mean, only behind what, like the Dodgers and the Yankees, which I guess the Yankees being in the division, that's kind of the catch there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to be wrong about this for sure. It's a numbers
so
play.
It's never stopped you before, Jake.
Exactly. And I know the Orioles were great when they won that AL East title. I know, I got the tickets. I have the money from that. It was awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's a numbers play for me. These teams are much more tightly grouped together at the top three, the Yankees, Orioles, and Red Sox. To me, they're much closer than the odds imply. So I'd rather take the shot with the better than 4-1 on the Red Sox than obviously pay the 105 on the Yankees, then the 260 on the Orioles, because I have more concerns about the Orioles than I do about the Red Sox, or at least I did. On paper, for me, the Red Sox just grade out better. And maybe that's just the Lucy Burge effect, and I've spent way too much time talking to her and she's infected my brain. That's possible. But I do really like this team. And for me, I really like Roman Anthony, the top prospect in baseball. I really like Christian Campbell, another top 10. If they get rid of some of these, I'm going to call them filler players like Abreu and Rafaela, and let these guys actually play, then I'm good. And also with the Red Sox, too, it's just, Casas missed most of last year. I really like his upside. They didn't have Crochet, and I know people are going to look at Crochet and say, well, the innings limit. You really think the Red Sox aren't going to let Garrett Crochet pitch more than 4 innings in a start? We really think that's going to happen? So I like the upside of the Orioles and the Red Sox both. But to me, if we're looking at what the range of outcomes is, the Red Sox are the more complete team at their peak to me.
Orioles at 87.5, 88 wins, depending on where you're shopping. Red Sox, 86.5, and 25-1 to win the World Series, 10-1 to win the pennant, 4-1 to win the division, 425 at BetMGM. All right, let me make a case for the long shot of the division, if I may. The Toronto Blue Jays. The Junior Caminero effect will be seen this year, right? Or excuse me, that's in Tampa. In Toronto, the effect of a lengthened lineup, pardon me, a Vlad contract year, you add Santander, the rotation, I know, you never know when Max Scherzer's arm may fall off for a month and a half, but the rotation looks deep. You just brought up Francis the other day, Jake. Gausman, Barrios, Bassett. This rotation is going to be much better. Again, you get a Vlad contract year, which means an up Vlad year, and you get Santander in the middle of the lineup. At the very least, I think they're underpriced right now, especially at 78, 79 wins.
I can agree with that. I think that they maybe shouldn't be 14-1. Maybe they should be closer to that 10-1 range. The problem is, I think that the Orioles, I think the Blue Jays are dying for an excuse to trade Vlad. I think that they've made it very clear he's not long for Toronto. Like, we've already seen that they're not going to sign him to an extension. He made the comment, yeah, the numbers just didn't match up. It's all good. We have no beef. He could say that all he wants, but I think this was more the Blue Jays saying, we're not paying you, and the first team that comes up with a reasonable offer, we're shipping you out, pal. And whether that is a team that's just swinging for the fences that gets hot and is willing to pay the premium for a half year of him, cool, but then the problem is, if Vlad goes, who's after him then? Do you think they're going to keep Scherzer on a 1-year deal if he's pitching well? Like, I think the dominoes start to fall. It's kind of like, I did this with the A's a few years ago when they were going to trade Bassett and Montes, and everybody was on their way out the door. Like, it's just, the writing feels like it's on the wall, so it feels like a team that's just going to strip everything for parts come June.
Maybe maybe we compromise, guys, and we go with the Rays 9-1. I mean, outside of missing the postseason last year, they're typically in the hunt every single year. Maybe the Rays are the team that we go with at 9-1.
I did mention the Caminero effect. The one way I will bet the Rays this year, offense. They've been playing in a warehouse forever. They're playing outdoors this year because of the damage to the Trop. They'll be playing at Steinbrenner Field, which has Yankee Stadium-like dimensions. Caminero home run props. That's how I'll bet the Rays this year, at the very least.